up? This is Lee Smith. We're here, Mission Statement Podcast, episode 2. We're in Brooklyn, New York, Mona Liza Studios. I've got the man Gino Iannucci here. We're just gonna chop it up and just, you know, catch up, see what's going on. Thank you for coming through, bro.
All right, Lee. Good to see you.
You too, brother.
All right.
Who was like your immediate skate crew like growing up? I know you guys were like a whole New York crew, but like who was your small like inner circle that you...
My tight circle?
Yeah.
Like my Long Island circle?
Yeah.
It was a friend of mine, Eric Rossetti, Danny and Dave Amatuli, and Jimbo, JJ, Calagrande. That's what comes to mind is like the tight crew from Long Island, like the Westbury area, yeah.
And then those dudes, like, I'm sure they all were
Ray
amazing.
Matei, sorry. Ray moved out to Long Island from Brooklyn.
Okay.
Fairly early, so he was kind of like part of the initial crew as well. Yeah.
And then all those dudes, do they still skate or like did they?
I mean, Eric does a lot and Ray does occasionally, but the other guys I'm actually not even in touch with, so I'm not really sure what they're up to.
Eric Rossetti does tattoos, right?
No, that was, I think you might be talking about Brad.
Yeah, maybe I'm getting
buddy
confused.
Brad from, he was from Old Westbury. But no, did you just say Eric?
Yeah, Eric Rossetti.
Yeah, Eric's, no, he works actually for Vans now, but he was like one of my best friends growing up and like first kid I skated with, and so he goes, me and him go back like the furthest of anybody.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Damn, that's dope.
Yeah.
And then so like I know that you when I think of you, I always think of like Huff, like Keenan, Chris Keefe, and then how did all you guys become like a crew kind of, or like how did you guys become tight? That
was through Ray Matei, because Ray grew up in Brooklyn, so he was used to coming into Manhattan. And I think it began with Alex Valich. He was friends with Alex Valich. He was from Brooklyn as well, I think, like Bay Ridge maybe?
Okay.
I think that's where Ray's from too. And then, so, you know, they used to skate the city a lot, and then they knew Huff, and through Huff they knew Keenan. Then when Ray moved to Long Island, Keenan and Huff came to visit Ray, and that's when we met.
Okay.
And then we all became friends, and we started going into the city, staying with Huff, and then they would come out to Long Island, stay with me, stay with Ray, stay with Ben Liversedge out east in Long Island, and that's
I didn't even know Ray was from Brooklyn.
Yeah,
I don't know, for some reason I always thought he was from Queens.
No, yeah. You might be thinking of,
I didn't know he was originally.
Yeah, but yeah, he grew up, I think he moved out to Long Island, like, beginning of high school or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cause what about Buscemi? Was he like down with you guys or?
Yeah, that's right. John as well. See, I'm forgetting people. John Buscemi, Alvin Iroso. They were from Uniondale. I met John in high school, like 9th grade. Went to the same high school. So yeah, he was definitely part of the crew as well. A couple of years later than say Eric and Danny and Dave, and but yeah.
Because it's funny, it's like I think about like your crew of skaters, and like I know there's the whole New York crew, but I think about your group, and it's like you guys all kind of went on to become and do a lot of like legendary shit, in my opinion, and like a lot of people's opinion. I mean, you and Keenan went on to become like, you know, some of the greatest skaters in the world. I think a lot of people feel that way. That's like Buscemi. You know, he's hanging out with J-Lo, whatever he's doing, and Ray Matei is like a streetwear icon. And like, you know, I think about your crew, and it's just like, and Chris Keefe, you know, he did his thing with DQM and all that. And it's like, it's interesting for me to see like a group of people kind of like feed off each other and then kind of become successful, each one in their own right, you know, and kind of like, I think EMB had a little bit of that because it was, or a lot of that actually, because it's like, once you see one of your friends doing it, then you kind of feel like, oh, I can do that too. And so, I mean, is that something that maybe you guys saw early on, or something that was spoken about, or you guys all kind of just like all doing your own thing, or like?
I think maybe looking back, because we all had the same kind of like, I don't know, love for like skating. But no, there was never like we never like talked about that or a plan or something. And it's amazing that is how it kind of turned out. Everybody kind of went their own way, but, you know, had their own piece of, I don't know, making their mark in this industry or in other industries as well. But yeah, it's, and I don't think about that a lot. It's like, it's probably like a subconscious thought or something, but it's pretty amazing, you know? Someone like Huff, how well he's doing now.
Exactly, Huff too, I mean.
Yeah, everybody's just doing great in their own way. But I think it would just like, you know, I just feel like lucky to be a part of that crew.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, it's amazing, and you know, I always look up to you guys, and I always think you guys are like super special, and
Yeah.
I don't know, that crew like holds a real place in my heart for sure.
Yeah.
And yeah, I definitely, you know, I saw that, and I think energy, like when, you know, you can build off, you see your friend coming up, and you're like, you know, I could do that too, and you support each other, and it kind of grows from there, you know.
Yeah. I don't think we had so much, I don't think we really had anyone to look up to and say, oh, if they can do it, then we can do it, which was also interesting because we all just kind of came up at the same time and all started dabbling with the idea of moving out to California or sending tapes out to sponsors in California. And then it became a reality when we started getting, you know, free shit and then being asked to film, you know, make videos and send them back and, you know, to continue getting product and stuff. So yeah, there was no real like, oh, this guy, he made it, like there's a chance or something. So it was all just kind of winging it and just like, I guess I don't know, some of these words I get kind of like, I don't like saying, I don't know why, I just feel uncomfortable, but the passion and love for like what we do, the skating and all that shit, like it was beyond like, you know, a plan. It was just doing it and fucking, no matter how it turned out, if we failed and fucking, you know, ended up sleeping on the street or something.
No, I totally agree because it was just organic, like,
Yeah.
you know, it was just organically, you guys were all doing something you loved and it just happened to turn out how it did.
Yeah, very simple-minded. Just like, I want to skate. I want to go to LA, skate that spot that's in that video. That's it.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
It's cool, man.
Yeah. And luckily there was like friends from here to go out there with, which made it a lot easier, you know. So
You guys took the Greyhound?
not the Greyhound, no, but I've heard, yeah, this, you know, that was
You guys drove out?
a common mode of transportation out there. But I drove out, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I mean, the first visit I flew out, but yeah, when I moved out, I drove out. Me and Liver's Edge.
Yeah, so how was the first time you went to EMB?
I was assuming that question would pop up, but it was sick, man. It was like, you know, EMB it was like a mix of like nerve-wracking, intimidated, but like super psyched to be there. That's another word I've been saying a lot lately, super. And I kind of catch myself, and I don't know why I say it. But yeah, man, EMB was dope. It was just like one of those spots you obviously had to go to, and you know, we knew all about it, who skated there, all the best footage came from there, the best skaters came from there, and it was cool. I mean,
Anybody vibe? No, all good vibes?
No. There was definitely the stories, but yeah, no vibes. Just kind of keep your mouth shut and skate, and then let your skating do the talking and all that at first, and then that's it.
That's the same way. Like if I rock up to the banks, like I'm gonna be the same. Like yo, let me just keep my mouth shut.
Yeah,
And just
yeah.
kind of do my thing.
Not trying to play yourself real quick.
Speaking of EMB, like I think you're the kind of guy like I always kind of compared you to a Javante, in the sense of like. in the sense of like whatever you do is fresh. Like Javante, like he could.
I agree with.
He could pull off like.
As far as him and what he does, yeah.
He could. He pulled off the yellow Enigmas.
Yeah.
Like that's the
one.
classic one. That's the classic one, and like I think I kind of put you in that same category where like anything that you do kind of like looks pretty fresh. So. I don't know. I think you and Javante kind of have that thing going on. There's not a lot of skaters that I would like.
I'll take that for sure. Shit. But yeah, that's true. Those yellow shoes were like, you know, but he did make them look good with those humongous, you know, what were they, some tan pants he had on. But
yeah, you know Javante, right?
I've met him a couple of times, and it's funny that you bring him up now because when you spoke about vibing and stuff at EMB, the first time I went to Wallenberg, I was skating out in the back, and he was like the only person that kind of made me feel a little uncomfortable because I was sitting down and he kind of came up to me, not really looking at me or talking to me, but making sure I heard him. He's like, what is this, the bleachers of Wallenberg, everyone's sitting around or something like that?
Everybody was like looking at him or something?
Maybe he thought everybody was, or I probably was, but yeah, that was the only kind of thing, the only thing I remember being a little bit like, all right. A little
Shout
bit of a vibe.
out to Javante.
Yeah. But no, I've met him after and, you know, nothing but love for the guy, for sure.
But in saying that, you also have like really good taste, I think, for like, nothing against skaters, but like as a skater, you have like really good taste. Like, I don't know, I think like, one of the things that sticks out to me is I remember one time we went to go play pool at the Red Rock and everybody ordered like burgers and you had the like rack of lamb.
That's funny you remember that. Wow.
Remember Red Rock?
On the corner.
On Sunset.
Yeah.
It was like me, you, Keenan, Pupecki, a bunch of guys.
Yeah.
It always stuck out to me.
lamb.
I was like, this dude got the rack of lamb.
Okay.
This dude has some, he got good taste, right?
I don't know. I probably haven't ordered that since then. So I don't know what I was thinking that night.
What about LA? Would you ever move back, or you ever think about it?
I mean, the conversation has been brought up in the recent past, but I don't think so. I don't know. If that was going to happen, I think it would have already happened. You know? Yeah. I like it out east. I like it here.
You enjoyed your time out here? I feel like you didn't really enjoy your time out there.
In LA?
Yeah.
I did I did for a few years, and then the last, towards the end before I moved back, it was just getting. I got over it, and not LA's fault, but just just the way we were, or the way I was. I don't know, the routine that I was in. I just wasn't into it anymore, and so whatever, did the geographic thing and moved back home. So
what was the routine? It was like wake up at 12.
It was as simple as party and skate.
Party, skate,
and try to maintain a level head with whatever comes with that. And it just got old, dude. And then after a while, you realize you're bringing it with you wherever you go. So. But LA's where it started, the clouds, the clouds were there was no clouds at first. It was sunny, and then it became a little bit white, and then it became dark, and that's what it seemed like it was every day, just dark, and I just wasn't with it. And then the whole Keenan thing, and Justin, and all that, I was over it, yeah.
I definitely feel like there was nobody there to say, like, you guys need to chill. Or like there was no regulation of any sort. But I don't know who that regulation would have came from, but there was definitely like nobody was saying like, hey, we need to like.
Not at all.
To chill out.
As much as we were going, or all of us were, there was nobody that was speaking from experience, or and I look back now and how just not up on so many things associated with drugs, alcohol, all that kind of shit, the party life and all that. That we weren't hip to, and learning as you go, and then, but yeah, I remember giving advice to like some of the guys, the younger guys, that would like move to LA, be like, dude, don't get sucked up in this don't get caught up in this LA life. It's because I was already jaded at that time. But people like Reynolds and Greco, those guys were like, they'd moved to around our zone after us, and. I remember like seeing what they were doing and being like, all right, man.
But they
easy guys.
No, I mean, they did kind of get caught up though too. It's funny that you say that.
Quickly. Yeah. I remember like Reynolds talking about it. Like it was not long after that they did, and but they're doing great now. So that's all that matters. That's good.
For sure, you're doing great too.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
How about you? What did you think of the whole LA?
For me personally, like. LA was kind of a mindfuck. My focus should have been somewhere else. But nobody was there to tell me like.
But you were younger as well.
I was younger.
Yeah.
I mean, to be perfectly honest, I never felt like I was a natural like skateboarder like you guys. Like you guys were. I don't know. I couldn't like fucking go out at night and get like completely wasted and then fucking go do some shit over the table the next day.
Yeah.
That just wasn't. I needed like. To be focused and
how
like,
did that even happen?
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I look at that point in time in my life and it'd be like, maybe that I was like wasting time, but maybe just the focus was in the wrong place.
I think we could all say that. There's a lot of wasted time,
For sure.
Yeah. I mean, it was just a different time, you just looked at things differently back then, the seriousness of it. As you get older, you realize, you should have appreciated it more or taken it more seriously But I mean, whatever. You can always look back and regret shit. But you went out to LA solo, or because I mean, you were from up north. So
the thing was for me is that my mom left and she moved away. Like when I turned 17, she moved out of San Francisco.
Yeah.
And I was like skating for Menace at the time, and then she moved to Arizona. So I was like trying to live in San Francisco, and they had like the .com boom and all this shit, and I was like. To be perfectly honest, I was like the couches and fucking LA are much nicer than sleeping on the couches in San Francisco, because I was like living off an AM salary and like didn't really have anywhere to go. I think I slept on your couch for like 6 months, so thank you for that.
Yeah. That was the way it was though, you know?
But yeah, so then I was like,
Casa.
and then, yeah, I don't know.
But you already knew everybody down there, so it wasn't like, you know, it wasn't shocking to go down there and you weren't like
I think the thing is I just needed to know when to call it quits.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing about skating that's hard. It's like, I think everybody thinks that way. You know, when does the whistle blow? When is it a wrap? And then, you know, it's just time keeps going on. And then, you know, 10 years pass and you're like, wow, I'm still doing this shit, still getting a check or still living off it.
Yeah.
That's the hardest thing I think about skating is just kind of being foggy about where should I draw a line or should I just like, you know, so.
I mean, I guess you kind of just have to utilize your time wisely, and it's like, okay, I get paid to do this thing, and I don't have to be somewhere every day, so let me try to do something else with this free time that I have, you know?
I mean, Jesus, man, the amount of time that you actually, at least back then, you know.
Well, yeah, I didn't think about that shit back then.
Yeah, but I mean, you could have fucking done anything.
You could have done anything.
You could be like an ice sculptor right now. You could have learned how to do anything with the amount of time, you know. So that's what I talk about with waste of time. We did your thing on the skateboard or whatever, however, if it's a fucking 45-minute part or a 3-minute part, at least you did that, but then like the amount of spare time there was and wasted time.
So much spare time.
Yeah. There's so much that could have been done, but
we had fun though.
Yeah. We had some good times. Yeah.
I wish I was an ice sculptor.
Yeah, right? It could have been Groundhog's Day, you know? Could have been a fucking ice sculptor with a chainsaw and all that.
I told you I lived in Long Island for like 4 months, right?
No.
Did I tell you that?
It doesn't sound familiar.
No. I think I saw you one time like on the street quickly. It was like in 2015.
Where?
Hampton Bays.
Really?
Yeah, you know where that is?
Were you in LICR?
What's that?
It's a rehab. No, Hampton Bays, really?
Nah, I was like working in this, in Southampton, they had this like pop-up shop and I was working out there for the summer.
All right.
They put me in like this beach house and I was like, all right,
that
cool.
actually might, yeah, okay.
I liked it. I liked it out there. I didn't come back to the city once, like not even in 4 months.
Yeah.
So I can
it's starting to come back to me, yeah.
I can feel like the vibe, Long Island vibe. Like it was chill out there. I know like Suffolk and Nassau County are like 2 different places, right? Kind of like 2 different worlds.
More country. I haven't spent that much time in the Hamptons. Like you've been there more than me, so like,
pretty nice
spending
out there.
4 months there. Yeah, it is. The Hampton Bays are a little, you know.
It's kind of like the hood Hamptons.
Yeah. But still, it's not. Yeah, it's obviously nice out there.
Yeah, it was super chill.
Yeah.
Who's your favorite one-on-one rider besides Dill?
Besides Dill, like
if you could think of like all
anyone from before me, after me, or whatever.
Yeah.
Shit, man, that's a hard question.
That's a lot. That's a lot, right?
Yeah. Love Gabe. Love Eric. I never
when I thought of that question, I actually didn't think about how many people that entails.
Like
it's a lot of people.
No, it wasn't that many.
I was like Adam McNatt, Marcus McBride.
Yeah, like Marcus. Yeah, I got to know Marcus. Great, you know. I mean, he was younger at the time, but yeah.
You guys were on at the same time now, right?
Marcus?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
Oh yeah, you were.
Clyde,
you guys
Jason,
had the
and
intro
Marcus.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
Adam.
Gino, and then Marcus and all that shit. Yeah.
I'd say like Gabe and Eric. You know. I love them all.
Gabe Rodriguez.
I knew those guys, so.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
What about Kareem? You got any like crazy Kareem stories? How was that riding for Axion and all that? Like,
it was awesome, man. I loved it. I loved it from day one. I just loved the fact that he was down to put me on, and it'd be me, him, and Guy. I mean, what a, you know, I always loved Guy. I always loved Kareem, and just for them to ask me felt like really special. And you know, I think about it a lot because nowadays how things would have panned out. I mean, I remember being offered by DC before that.
Really?
Or like around the same time.
Yeah, I never knew that.
Yeah, and Kareem asked me he talked about starting Axion, and I went with Axion. I was like, fuck that. It just seemed tighter, smaller, and I hung out with them. And yeah, it was good for how long it lasted.
What was it like? We were on there for like 5 years, something like that?
It seemed like it, but it might have been less.
Yeah. It's funny, back in like it seemed like things were an eternity back then, but it was probably like 2 or 3 years.
Completely, dude.
Like
yeah, like the 101 days seemed like a decade, but it was like 3 years or something like that, 4 years.
How was the trips going, like action trips with Reem and stuff? It was always like
cool. I mean,
some shit was always popping off.
I mean, going back to like the days of going out and your main concern was having a drink in your hand and what's going on at night. There was a few trips. I mean, pulling all-nighters, going to a demo the next morning and kind of tweaking out and then having to maintain the skates. That's not like, they weren't fun memories, but outside of that, they were good. I mean, anything back then was good. We only did, I think, one real action tour, or actually trip to Argentina. Other than that, it wasn't many. Yeah.
I remember seeing footage from that demo. It's like, you guys were doing tricks over like a big green cone or something like that?
That was actually, I know what you're talking about. That was actually Denver. That was like
was it?
Yeah, I think that was like a world trip. Yeah. Oh no, Arizona. That was Arizona.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I can't believe you even remember that.
Yeah, because there wasn't that many, man. I didn't do like a lot of trips in like fucking 20-something years. Seriously, I haven't done that many. I mean, compared to what guys are doing these days, I mean, they seem like they're constantly on the road.
18-passenger van.
Yeah.
It seemed like there was a, like kind of a mix between like Axion and 101 and Menace, and like, we remember when we all hung out with each other and like Guy was wearing like Menace shirts and like, you know, Fabian and Joey were like, I don't know, it was just like kind of like, it was a good time, I felt, where we were all skating together and just kind of hanging out together. And
yeah, man.
Everybody was riding around in Honda Civics. And
everyone had a Civic. Everyone had the 5-star rotors. But yeah, that was good. You know, obviously the Lockwood days and just LA in general. Those were cool.
What about World? Did you ever like steal a bunch of shit from there? I took some shit from there.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you know, definitely indulged.
I don't think Rodney's gonna care anymore. He fucking
Yeah, dude. I don't know. I mean, we did a lot of things when we were younger we're not really proud of, but I definitely took a lot more than I should have. You know, make a little money selling and stuff. We had like a little skate shop at our apartment in Huntington Beach because we used to drive down to World, get our product, and then right away go to the Huntington skate park, open up the trunk, sell it, and then at the apartment we had at least about a handful or two of kids that would come by and ring the doorbell, and every time the doorbell rang, it was like cha-ching, like
it's like a crack house.
Dude, it was funny, but it was good. Being that we didn't care at the time, so it wasn't really that much of a guilty conscience. So.
What about Bald Eagles? Remember that dude?
Who's that?
No, you never went there?
Oh,
he's got that
in LA. Yeah, LA skate. Yeah.
Blowing you up, Bald Eagle. Fucking.
Yeah. The last time I seen him was in like a TV commercial.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
He still has a shop.
He does?
It's like fucking totally full of shit. Like,
I never understood how he was able to pay cash for any product anybody brought to him at any time, any day of the week. He just always had cash and was down to buy it.
It's a fucking...
I'll take it.
Yeah, it's like a mystery, but he's like... he's helped a lot of skateboarders out.
Yeah.
For sure. So what was like, when you started making money from skating, what was your first big purchase?
Oh man, that's like pathetic because compared to what's being made these days, I can't even say. I never made a big purchase. Everything just came and went. They were little checks. I mean, it seemed big then because it was skating. So
yeah.
But nothing worth bragging about.
Yeah, nothing worth talking about.
No.
Okay. I seen that Sandy Bodecker just passed the other day.
Yeah. That was
crazy.
A surprise. I mean, I know he's been sick for a long time, but.
You know, it's funny. I guess I'm totally out of the loop. Like, I really didn't know much about him, so I had to look him up and shit. And I didn't even know like he kind of like started the whole SB thing and kind of like just came up with the concept of like making, you know, basketball shoes into skate shoes and so on. You know, kind of blending everything together. But I didn't.
Yeah, I think he was a big part of Nike soccer, like becoming what it was, or what it is, before he got into skateboarding. But yeah.
You ever meet him or?
Yeah, Sandy?
Yeah,
definitely. Like the first day going to Nike, you know, sitting at the table with him and Tinker and just going over like ideas for shoes and stuff like that. And he was a big, like, you know, I whenever we'd go over to Portland, he was there a lot. Like I seen him a bunch of times. getting the team together occasionally. It used to be like a maybe every year thing or every 2-year thing. He'd always be around. But then once he started getting sick, I saw less and less of him, you know.
Okay.
But I wasn't even going out there that often, so,
Yeah.
you know. But I'd hear about him.
You still go out there sometimes, or?
Occasionally. I was out there like before the summer.
Okay.
Yeah.
How was that when you first got on Nike? Was that like weird? Was that like a fucking?
It was,
It was
yeah.
like a mind fuck,
Totally.
right? Like, yo. Like,
You don't know what to expect. I mean,
Yeah.
Nike, we grew up wearing Nikes and all that shit, not knowing where they come from or how the operation works. And it was just like insane going to the campus, having like a tour of the campus and just knowing who's affiliated with Nike, all the like athletes and shit. And it was crazy. Overwhelming, but you know.
I think the tours were probably a little different then too.
At first, yeah, dude, getting flown first class to like, you know, it was weird. Started making you think, am I worth this flight actually? Like, I better get a couple of clips, not just one on this trip. But yeah, it was a trip.
So you're back on Instagram, huh?
Yeah,
It's been like what, 2 years now?
probably something like that.
How's that going?
It's interesting, yeah.
It's weird the connection that you can have with people and like the way you can reach people nowadays. It's like,
Yeah. You know, I'm sure there's a lot to feel being on it still. But I don't know, man. When the thing that trips me out the most is that search page, and like the shit I'm seeing. I'm just like, dude. When it comes to skating,
yeah, right? It's fucking mind blowing, right?
it is, yeah, it is. I don't even know where to begin with that one. Yeah. I think just it's become like, did people just figure out that skating's easy? What the fuck, man? Like, you know what I mean?
I don't know.
It's
I
insane.
can't figure it out
That's
either.
how good. But yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, it's crazy. I think that just the way that they approach it is different nowadays.
I'm sure.
The approach is more of like, you know, I can make money off of this. Let me perfect my craft.
I could, you know, I feel you there.
You know,
I just feel like, I find it funny though. It just seems like dudes I see putting out clips and they're just amazing, like lines. Like I seen one the other day. It was insane, perfect, it looked great. But like the guy, if he didn't have a board under him, I'd be like, he does not skate. The guy, you know what I mean? It's just interesting like that. It's a trip. And I never seen the dude before. I never even, not that I'm crazy up on what's going on, but you know, definitely a UFO.
One time we were talking, like, me and you, and we were just, I don't know if you remember this, we were just sitting in a car, and I was asking you about music and shit, and you were like, I kind of like hate everything. And I was like, everything, like all music? And you're like, nah, everything. And I was like, you know what, I kind of feel the same way. Like,
Yeah.
not on some, not like on like in a negative way, but there's a lot of whack shit out there, you know? Just in life in general. And it's not a negative perspective because you appreciate the good things, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah.
That's what I took from what you said.
Okay, good.
And then, because I'm like, you know, there's a certain attitude that people have where it's like you got to be happy all the time, you got to be positive all the time. I don't want to be that guy. And
I mean, shit,
that
there's
always
a place
stuck
to
with
be
me from you
honest,
because
right?
like I want to be honest and I want to say shit's whack.
Yeah.
And like a
Like
lot
that
of
kid's
shit
so
sucks.
rad. It's like amazing. Like the shit he's doing. Like I'm so sick of all that shit. Yeah, I can get into it, but yeah, I feel bad being that dude. And then there's also like as you get older, you feel like that age thing is gonna be thrown back at you. Oh, you're just fucking getting old. But like, dude, I don't know.
Well, when you said
Whatever,
that to
man.
me, we weren't
I'm just
old.
my own person, and you're your own person. If you don't like shit, that's your opinion. But yeah. And that's another thing about Instagram. It's funny. It's like there's a lot to absorb and see and fucking criticize or like or be in awe at or whatever. You know, it's interesting. But back to what you're saying, yeah, just hate a lot of shit.
But I feel the same way too. It's like, yeah, I don't wish anybody like any harm, like ill will or anything. But yo, I just don't
like-
I
it's
just
fun
don't
hate.
like you. It's a fun hate.
Yeah, it's a constructive hate. You know.
So like,
I just love it nowadays because everybody is just, you know, everybody's so unique and different. You know.
yeah, I guess.
That's what I'm saying. It's like that type of shit. It's like anything goes, anything like gets let slid, you know, or slide. Sorry, but whatever.
It was definitely more like in the '90s. It was more you couldn't get away with shit.
That's you know,
You couldn't
maybe
get away
that's
with
the
anything.
curse
But it was a
of
little
growing up
too.
in the 90s.
It was a little too strict.
Yeah, yeah. And it kind of just stays with you. You know, it's not easy to get rid of that shit when that's like all you were concerned about was like, you know, walking that line and not fucking like going the wrong direction, you know? But so in that sense, yeah, it is a lot better that people are doing their own thing and they're not really too concerned with all that code or whatever.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But that was the thing. Like I always kind of tripped on Keenan. Like he didn't give a shit.
Yeah.
Like he was wearing like tight pants and listening to like Nirvana and shit.
Because he did it well, you know?
He did it fucking real well.
Exactly.
Like, but like
with like taste. You
because he was the man and like you couldn't say shit. You're like, damn.
know? Yeah.
I think I've said this types of things before, but like, yeah, Keenan listens to Nirvana. I want to listen to Nirvana. You know?
Yeah. Put him in front of the radio, yeah.
With that, like, I know you're super into hip hop and shit. Like, you up on any of the new shit, like fucking mumble rap,
Not
whatever
really.
they call mumble rap type
I
shit.
hear it a lot when I'm playing tennis because I'm on the court and usually like it's next to a basketball court and they're always playing, you know, that stuff and I'm not up on it, but and I'm like I've criticized that stuff enough. I don't know what to say about music, but I stay with the same.
When you
shit.
drive home tonight, what are you gonna be listening to? Some Mobb Deep or something like.
Obviously, yeah. Dude, all this stuff is funny because I went over this stuff in my head on the way here, like the EMB stuff, the music.
You're like,
thing.
this is what I'm gonna say.
Exactly. Like this is probably what's gonna happen. This is what's gonna be said. Not like.
No.
Yeah,
I mean, you wanted
but,
to be prepared or whatever.
But it's funny, yeah. I was listening. I was listening to a CD. Okay, so Mobb Deep, of course, Nori, and I don't know.
You heard the new Nori album?
I haven't now.
It's all right.
Yeah,
I think he tried to resurrect some of his old shit, but
yeah.
like his old vibe. But he just dropped an album. Like,
Okay.
yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't.
But I go back and forth. I'm like, I listen to like the new shit and like Casanova and 6ix9ine and all that shit, and like I like it. I don't know if you know who those guys are.
No. I'm just. Yeah, I'm not up on
But
it.
it's like I don't want to hear California Love for the fucking jillionth time in my fucking
That's the hard
life.
part.
You know what I
is
mean?
You catch yourself being pissed that you're listening to the same shit, but I don't know, kind of stuck in that zone. There was some kid that performed at House of Vans a while ago. I thought was pretty good. That Johnny Badass or something like that. Or something.
I don't know a lot about him. I heard he's good.
I think he's
though.
from Brooklyn.
Yeah.
It just kind of reminded me of like boot camp and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I can't be a critic of music when I'm not really up on it. So
What about rock shit? Any
just it's
classics?
always classic stuff.
Classics?
Yeah.
Word.
Yep.
I know you spoke about this like a bunch of times, but probably just how was the anxiety leading up to like the chocolate breakup?
It was hard. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like I knew what I wanted to do, but yeah, I mean that's always tough.
Mm-hmm. A lot of sleepless nights before.
I don't know.
leading
I
up
mean,
to-
I just it just sucked because I was in Florida at the time when I spoke with Rick, so it wasn't. You always think you got to do these things in person and do the right thing, but I just happened to speak to him on the phone when I was down south,
okay.
and then I came to New York for it. And on top of that, there was the chocolate anniversary, so they were having like a thing out here in New York.
yeah, I went to that. I saw you there.
Yeah, and that was like the night I told Aaron like it's a done deal. But like I was told to wait till like the the LA thing was over and then New York, so the anniversary. So yeah, I had to sit on it for a minute, and it was just uncomfortable, And then I
Yeah.
hadn't seen those guys for a minute, Rick and Mike, and I finally seen them up in like Colorado at some Zoomies thing.
Yeah, it's all love though.
Yeah, I mean,
I mean,
on my end, yeah, and it seemed like
sure.
everyone's cool.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I heard you used to room with Sheffy a lot. Not because you wanted to though.
They just threw me with them. I was
Like
gonna
just
act
because
it's
like you know
helpless.
how in high school like or in school like you got to pick your partner for like whatever like the sport whatever you're gonna play, and like there's always the last one who maybe you weren't paying attention or something like that.
Nah, I think because
and then like you guys are like the
the
last two,
Yeah.
so you got to partner up.
Nah, I mean, I think it was just one time we had to share a room.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it was like an interesting trip. So there's like a few stories from that trip. So it seems like I was ruined with him, but it was just that one time. It was in Tampa.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's funny because I think maybe that's a trip that I'm like thinking about.
Probably, yeah. With the whole drive-up massage parlor place, and yeah, he's in there with like in the bathroom with a pizza pie, and it was funny. It was.
You want to elaborate on that
a
little bit?
Yeah, because Sheffy had that. We all knew about him. We heard the stories. It's like being in a fucking with it's like a caged animal or something.
But you're so chill though, and he's fucking. Oh, sorry, big. Shout out to Chef. But at the time, he was fucking. Kind of wild, and so it's like you guys are like polar opposites.
Yeah. I think he was pretty chill himself. It's just that he didn't get wild, and when he did, it was like a fucking story to remember,
Yeah.
So.
I think about skating, and I think like, you remember back in the days, it's like if you kind of like, I know we kind of touched on this earlier, but like if you took care of yourself, and if you like, say you went to bed early and you like stretched and you were like, nah, I'm not gonna go out, like you were a kook, like you were kind of regarded as a kook.
Isn't that so fast? Such pricks. Seriously. I guess, I don't know, I mean.
Yeah, like imagine back in the days if you were like, nah, I'm gonna stay home tonight.
Yeah.
And you're like, nah, I'm just gonna chill. And I'm gonna wake up early.
Something's wrong with you. Yeah.
People would be like, damn, this dude is like whack. Like this dude.
I remember.
But the funny thing is, I always trip on that. It's like you're a professional. Like I'm in better shape now.
Yeah.
Like I take care of myself more now, like 15 years later after the fact of when I got paid to skate. Like I didn't give a shit back then.
Yeah.
So it's like funny.
You didn't need to. I mean, the bodies were younger. Just snapped back from everything. So now
we probably could have done maybe a little bit better if we like maybe would have took care of ourselves a little bit.
Probably. I mean, would we have wanted to though?
I don't know.
Back then?
Because it would have been like.
Yeah, it's just a different time, man. I can't. It's hard to say. Yeah, maybe like would we have been burnt out on fucking skating if it was all about working out and skating?
Yeah.
It wasn't in like my DNA to think like otherwise. Like it came along with skating. That if you want to call it profession or whatever we were doing, however we were getting paid, the nightlife and all that shit came along.
Yeah,
with it. That was part
of
the norm.
It was part of the deal.
Yeah, and I'm sure it still goes on. I mean, but there's a little more of the healthy side to it now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there was some article in Vice the other day about like skaters being healthy and like Carl Watson and all these. I haven't read it, but it was just like a new thing, like being a vegan and being straight edge and like being healthy and like taking care of yourself and shit. It's funny though, because like if you have to make an article about athletes being healthy.
I'm saying something.
Yeah, like what is that saying? Like seriously. It's like skaters, we're all kind of like a little bit reckless, huh?
I would say so. I mean, speaking for myself, yeah. A little stupid.
I mean, even not to get too serious on it, but like seeing like P Stone, that dude just passed. I don't know if you know about that, and then like Shane Cross and everybody. And like, I always just kind of feel like maybe, we're kind of just a little too reckless. I don't know.
I kind of think about that occasionally. I wonder if I wasn't a skateboarder and I grew up a different way, and the group of people I rolled around with outside of skating, if it would have been the same. Because for the most part, most of my friends did the same thing. I think everyone goes through that.
Everybody kind of
college age, but I think it was like next level, like living in Los Angeles, and I don't know, it just seemed like I've said it before, it just seemed like a big playground.
I guess if you really don't, the way I see it is like if you don't really have any responsibilities the next day, if you're not like, oh shit, I gotta get up and write this paper, or you're like, I gotta get up and fucking go to this job, flip burgers, and you're like, I guess I could get fucked up again. I always kind of tripped on that, and especially being from Northern California, it was like a super Northern California thing. Like, I know it's everywhere, but it's like, fucking get fucked up and fucking,
Yeah.
I don't know, drink 240s and like bomb a hill, like that's cool, but like, Is it cool? Maybe I'm just old. I don't really know.
It seemed like it back then, you know? I don't know.
Like I see that video of Sean Young bombing the hill in the rain.
Yeah.
Like the two, I don't know if you've seen that before, but like he like bombs this hill in the rain, and I know he's probably drank like a bunch of.
Yeah.
It's amazing. The video is incredible, but it could have gone so wrong, you know.
Well, that's the funny thing too, is drinking. Drinking never went with skating, you know, right? I don't know, for me, maybe like a couple of beers, skating flat ground, playing skate or something, but other than that, yeah, couldn't do it.
A lot of skaters did a lot of shit drunk, though. I think BA did a lot of shit drunk.
Yeah, I guess you call that a functioning. Yeah, probably, yeah.
Dustin Dolan, I think, too.
Hasn't he gotten broke a few times drinking too?
He got broke the fuck off.
A couple of facials.
For sure.
Yeah.
Definitely fell on his face like more than once.
Yeah, he's had some gnarly ones.
I don't know if you want to talk about Keenan at all.
I mean,
you never.
Shoot, what's up?
I don't really have, you know, it was just all a big, something that really hurt us all. And
Yeah.
I don't know if you wanted to touch on that or anything, any thoughts, feelings, or any regrets you had to say. Or,
I don't know what to really say. I mean,
yeah.
I know, you know, it's a tough one for you as well. Like really, you know, you were there for like the last minute, and like kind of around during the whole situation, unfortunately. But I don't know.
Had you guys been like hanging around at the time? Weren't you guys just in Italy like together before that?
No, he was. I think maybe the trip you're talking about he was at BC. I think Pete BC. They went out to Italy. I don't know what they were doing, but I kind of like once I moved back to New York and I moved out. He stayed in LA, and I think we were in touch, but I hadn't seen him for a while, you know. So around the time when all that was going down, I do remember like he came back to New York and he came to Long Island, and I remember we were having like a small talk, like driving to my friend's tattoo shop, and he got the star. I think it was like a star that Justin Pierce had, so he got it on his back, and we were talking about drinking and stuff, and he was talking about like how, you know, he wants to slow it down or something. Those were like the first signs of the problem, you know what I mean, it being a problem and shit, besides him going to the hospital. But that was kind of all I remember that was fairly close to when he passed away. But other than that, we didn't really spend that much time in those, you know, those days. You know? But I mean, what can you say? He was a great dude, and you know, I appreciate this time out, you know, this time on this planet, and how he affected everybody, you know.
Definitely affected a lot of people, man.
Yeah,
for sure.
Good to see people like Huff keeping the spirit alive and everything, and you know, so.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, named his son Keenan. It's awesome.
Oh yeah, his name Keenan, right? Huff's kid.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I haven't met him yet. I forgot you moved out first, and then who was living there after that? Arson?
I think Vlad.
Vlad, right?
Borges.
Oh yeah, Vlad.
Yeah, I think he moved in. But yeah, Pepecki stayed. I don't know for how long. If he was, it's kind of foggy that time. Was he still at Croft when it happened? I kind of forget. It's been like a minute.
I believe he was. I think so, yeah.
Yeah?
It was like Pupecki and Vlad, or...
I almost feel like it could
I always
have
felt
been
like it was
Vlad.
Arson.
I think it could have been. Eric might have moved out as well, and then Arson.
Maybe it was
Vlad moved
Arson
in.
and Vlad.
Yeah. Because then after all that went down, then Arson and Vlad got a spot off Melrose. Yeah. So, yeah.
I mean, I never really knew, like, Keenan passed because of drinking or because of, like, a health issue that he had? Like, I don't really know.
I know, that's kind of like the question, you know? He did have issues. He had, like, pancreatitis, I think it's called. That was, like, the first issue he had. And then he had his appendix removed in Italy. And I remember being in Vancouver for the Vancouver contest, and he had to go to the hospital there for I don't know what. And like, you know, in my experience with drinking and shit, I've been to the hospital before for like detoxing, but not for like organs failing or organs having issues with shit, you know? So who knows if it was just he needed to go in there and just kind of get on some medication to stop drinking maybe, or to cut it down, because, you know, once you're on that roll, you need the shit to fucking, you know, you could fucking die. So I'm not sure, dude. And then like with this whole rumor of someone jumping off the roof and landing on him, and it's all like a mystery, like, you know, right?
All I know is that some dude jumped into the pool. Supposedly, these dudes were all like.
No roof involved, just into the pool?
I don't know about the roof.
Yeah, see?
Somebody jumped into the pool and like felt Keenan at the bottom or felt somebody at the bottom, and then like they were freaked out because they had been up all night and they lost their mind, and then next thing I know, like they went into the pool and like pulled Keenan out.
Yeah.
So
there's no real closure with like.
There's no closure. Like I don't know how he passed. Like did he drown? Was it a
like heart failure or something?
Overdose or like heart failure or like I don't really know what happened.
Yeah.
Like to this day, like and I don't know. It's kind of crazy, but
yeah, the mystery. I wouldn't say it like. It doesn't eat away at me. It's just, but you know the way things were going back then. I can't front and say I didn't kind of think about something like that happening. You know. Mm-hmm. Just like people passing away. And it started with Justin, and no matter how it happened, just once that was like the first time it was like realness hitting you in the face after living in this fucking, you know, la la land and just partying and having fun and enjoying. Then it got serious and it was like, yo, this is getting crazy. And then, you know, living with Keenan, as much as we like to get fucked up and drink and do that and thought we were enjoying ourselves, I mean, I was concerned about him so many nights, you know, being at the house and just seeing how he can get, like how far. I always feel like I want to watch what I'm saying. I don't want to expose too much. But like, dude, he used to get fucked up a lot. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
He
of
used
course,
to drink
we all
a lot.
did. Like, he used to get fucked up a lot.
Couldn't, like, where he can't talk but like want to still go out and go to the party, go to the club. And I'd be like, dude, why don't you go to sleep? You know, and it used to trip me out. And it was always a concern, worry. So it started getting ugly. You know what I mean? And there was one morning, I've said it, I think before, where I had to like open the door and see if he was all right and kind of like, you know, make sure he's fucking breathing or something. Because that's how worried I got. So it kind of sucked, like those days, you know. But,
did you ever feel like the people that he was around were kind of like not really maybe good for him or like anything like that, or?
You know what, man? I never really tripped on that because it's like everyone is their own person, and if maybe I should think more like that. Regardless if I can do anything or not, I should be concerned at least about who he's associating with, but I didn't really see. You know, it was people I hung out with too, so it was all of us. I mean, and then maybe a couple other people that I wasn't that close with, but you know, that was never a dominant thought in my head. Yeah, so sucks, man.
Yeah, I always trip on it, man.
Yeah.
That one was hard. Even Justin too. That one was hard too.
Yeah.
Fucking.
It was just really.
You're young and you're like having fun and you don't like consider these types of situations. It's not something that you think about, you know.
Yeah.
You're not like, okay, and then this shit happens and it really fucks with your mind, like fucks
Definitely,
with your head and.
You start thinking about the domino effect of how it happened, what was going on that people didn't know about, and these are the people I associate with. Is this really what's going on? Like all that shit it got heavy. Yeah.
For me personally, one of the things like that I always kind of trip on is like, I've always had a lot of anxiety. That's why I don't do drugs, because I think it gives me more anxiety.
Yeah.
So even alcohol gives me a lot of anxiety the next day.
Yep.
So that's why I didn't do drugs at the time, but I feel like I always thought about it like if I was doing drugs with Keenan at the time, I would feel a guilt and like I would probably feel some kind of way that I would never be able to like let myself, forgive myself basically, I should say. You know, because I was there when it happened, but I wasn't participating, you know? So I don't know. It's just something I always kind of tripped on. Like if we were doing that together, just me and him there, and that happened, like I probably would not. I don't know. I'd probably be in a gutter somewhere.
Yeah.
Fucking racked with guilt. I don't know. That's what I think sometimes, you know.
Yeah.
But maybe not. Who knows? But I don't know. Yeah. And I've tried it since, and it's a lot of fun. But it's not something that I want to, I do on a regular basis or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, it just becomes the norm. You know what I mean? I don't know. I mean, it starts with one thing. They always talk about the gateway, the weed, and then it starts with the 22s and all that shit. It's just the gradual progression is what from my personal experience, what I learned about being out there or just anywhere, just like growing up and in that atmosphere and one thing wasn't enough anymore. Then you move on to the next thing and then, and each one, obviously becomes a problem.
Especially when you have all these like hot girls around you and you're going out and everybody wants to be around you and it's like,
the sad thing is you have all that around you, but at the same time you're so mashed like with all this shit that it's not even worth it, because you're useless. You know what I mean? Seriously, it's like the reality is you're just a fucking walking vegetable. So you're like an idiot.
I mean,
but yeah. I still wonder if I haven't heard about his grandmother since then, and because she was pretty old before he passed away. But I haven't even, I think I still remember their phone number at the house uptown, but I've never reached out to her.
His grandma?
Yeah, and I wonder if she passed away or.
I know his sister's doing Keenan Foundation.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
She's like based out of Atlanta or whatever.
I've heard, yeah.
She's doing something like that.
Yeah, it's an eerie thought to think you guys were like, showed up at the party. We're just like doing your thing.
You weren't there, right?
No,
Oh, okay.
I was out here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The funny thing is like Keenan was like, he was like, yo, I got a chick. And I was like, yeah, I got a chick too. And he's like, let's spend the night. And I was like, I remember Arson and Vlad and everybody were like, yo, we're leaving. And then Keenan was like, he said that, he's like, I got a chick. And I was like, all right, let's just stay here then.
Yeah.
There was like tents everywhere and there was the pool and the fucking huge crib and like overlooking the fucking ocean and shit.
Sounded nice.
Yeah, it sounds fucking amazing. And you're like, yo, I got a chick too, I'm gonna stay.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I don't know. I don't know, man. I beat myself up a lot. I don't know what about.
Talk about it.
I don't know what about. I don't know what I could have really done differently, but
yeah,
I do like. I just didn't know the severity of it at the time, or like how. I don't know. I didn't know how to approach somebody and to be like, yo, you gotta chill, like, take it easy. I don't know. But.
Yeah, a lot of that stuff you just didn't know what it was or how to deal at that, back in that time, that age.
Also, when you're young, you don't really think about consequences.
No.
You don't really know about consequences.
Unfortunately, sometimes the best lessons are learned just by living them and going through it. And it, it's a rough road, but I don't know. I mean, I remember, like I said, when I seen him out in Long Island, he came out. Or even like after him going into the hospital a couple of times and then coming out and wanting to drink, and I'd be like, back then, so ignorant to the whole deal, what was going on, and being like, are you serious? You want to have a drink after getting out of the hospital? You have like this issue now, but like, I get it now. Like there's been many times where it's like, I get the same looks. Are you kidding me? You just got out of like this and you're having a drink. It just don't, it's bigger than, it's bigger than that. And back then, I was just as ignorant as those people, so I get it. But 20 years later,
yeah,
you know what I mean? So
shit.
Yeah.
Oh, man,
he lives on though. He lives on.
Yeah, he definitely does.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, it's in the hearts of a lot of people.
Working on videos with those guys, it was fucking uncomfortable. That's why I give actors a lot of respect and credit for just turning it off and like being able to become whatever character that they're playing. Because once these things go on, it's like
it's hard, right?
It is. It's difficult to just be yourself, or
Which ones were you were in the? Were you in the Las Vidas Nueva de Paco or whatever it was called?
the last Spike thing.
Yeah.
I think it was the chocolate tour, maybe.
Oh, chocolate
what was
tour.
it called? The hot chocolate or something?
Hot
no,
chocolate.
No. I'm kind of stuck right now. What was the last one? That was probably it. Yeah, that month-long U.S. tour, and we filmed all that stuff.
You weren't in the 9 Lives of Paco thing?
No, I was still on 101 then.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I just had like a little cameo on Keenan's part.
You know who's always good in those things? Tony Ferguson.
Yeah.
He's I think he could be good. He's like,
he's
like a Will Ferrell type.
Yeah, playing the cop in that one scene. Yeah. Even Eric, man.
Eric's pretty good too. Huh?
Chaplin.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, he did a good job with that.
Yeah.
What about skating nowadays? How's that? Like, what gets you psyched? Like, you've been in it for so long. Like, What
gets me psyched? I don't know, man.
I mean,
It's like a battle now, dude. I don't know. Like the only people I have to feed off of that are still out there and they're older and generation before me is someone like Lance, you know? I mean, he puts out a lot of shit and he's the one who I look at like, wow, it is okay to still be a part of this thing and just do you and, you know, just don't worry about it so much. And that's the one person I always turn to like, in my mind to like look up to and just try not to sweat shit. But
you can still skate, but then you focus on other shit.
yeah, true.
I mean, you got Poets going. What's going on with Poets?
Poets is all right. It's there. It's like, it's small. I mean, it's not like taking my days up 24/7, 7 days a week, you know, but it's there. We're just trying to start it off slow, see how things go, learn about it. It's more
you used to have the shop, right?
Yeah.
And now it's just a purely clothing brand?
Yeah, just making a few things here and there whenever it's, you know, I guess inspired, or I'm not sitting here trying to put out like seasons and stuff like that, but you know.
I saw you guys are doing a hockey jersey.
It's not a jersey, that's just like the movie it's based off of. It's called The Sweater. It's like a hockey sweater, but it's just a graphic based off that short film. Yeah. So, you know, I'm just trying to hopefully put out things that mean something to me and hopefully it is felt by someone else, and that's all.
I mean, I have no doubt in my mind that shit, you're gonna win with that.
Hopefully.
I mean, you have great taste, you know what's hot. Like,
you know, you can only like kind of.
You gotta just believe in it.
Forecast and all that.
Put
just
all
like
your fucking, put all your energy into that.
It's a weird thing because it's a lot of days mentally I put a lot of energy into it, but there's not much to do. So it's like you find yourself kind of stressing or thinking about it so much when you don't really need to. So it's still learning how to balance all that shit. You know, getting things made, getting things done.
How much of your time does that actually take up? Like,
it's hard to say, dude. It's hard to say. I can go day after day, it being a lot. Then I can go like a week with nothing. Or it's so small, you know. So there's no structure, you know, like which is what I'm used to. So
I'm gonna buy some shit.
Should have bought something.
I want to rock it.
Yeah.
What about the Supreme video? You gonna have any tricks in there?
I don't know. I'm looking forward to the video, but I don't know. I think I filmed something with Bill, like maybe a clip. I don't know if it makes the cut, but
probably make the cut.
I'm looking forward to it though. How about you?
I don't think I have any tricks in there.
When's the last time you called up the filmer and said, I got this clip?
I haven't. Actually, a filmer called me, Leland. He was like, hey, I want to film you at, I don't know if you know this new spot, Borough Hall?
Nope.
It's like the new, like, hot spot.
What is it?
It's the courthouse in Brooklyn, downtown Brooklyn.
Okay.
They got, like, perfect flat ground.
Yeah.
And, like, pretty much the best flat in New York, in my opinion. And, like, it's a wide open space.
Oh,
they got the little curb.
I walked by it.
Yes.
Okay.
So
I've
that's
seen a bunch of kids skating there, so I'm assuming it's that spot.
That's our Sunday spot.
Okay.
So we're skating there nowadays, and Waylon was like, hey, I want to film a line of you there, because he saw me like posting shit on Instagram. So I was like, okay, and I was like, cool. And I went to bed at 9 o'clock, and I woke up at fucking 7 in the morning, and like went for a run and fucking
like
foam rolled.
Full on prep, right?
I did the foam roller and all that shit, and I landed my shit.
All right. Felt good, right?
It felt great.
And then we'll never go away.
You know, like Jonah Hill just came out with that movie, the mid-90s, I believe it's called. And I don't know, it seems like a lot of people are like really fascinated with that time. Maybe it's just the passing of time and everybody likes what happened 20 years ago or something. I don't know what it is, but you're kind of like one of the influencers of that time, especially in skateboarding, and it's like, what do you think, like why are people so kind of like gravitating towards the 90s nowadays, or like, or have you even tripped on that, or have you even noticed that?
I mean, I never really asked myself that question, but I have heard it a lot, how the 90s are kind of big to the younger generation and all that. Let me rewind for a second. It's like you had like the 80s and it was kind of big, I guess. You have like a white, cut that. There's something like, but yeah, you're good. Yeah, you had like the 80s and like skating was big, you know, dudes were living in mansions and shit, like Tony Hawk and all these guys, and then it kind of died. In the 90s, like our era was definitely, obviously, more pure, and just, you did it, there was no
It was like for the
All
love.
that financial and shit was out the window. It wasn't even about that. It wasn't even a thought, you know. But so maybe that's why it's just as simple as that. Like everybody that was involved, anyone that was involved in that culture, it was just like a true passion for it. So.
No, for sure. It makes perfect sense.
I'm not saying it's not like that now. It's just it's so.
Yeah, but now you know that you can make money off of it, and your intentions are a little bit different of why you want to do something.
But do you think kids nowadays are actually like, you know what, I'm trying to get this money and I'm gonna skate, and that, like maybe they will attempt that mentality and that direction, but they're not, I don't think they last. But like, do you think kids actually made it with that mentality and they're still doing it? Because without that passion and love, like can you do this shit for this long? I don't know.
That's a super good question.
You know?
Man. I don't really know. I mean, I guess, I don't know, maybe if you look at it like a job, or you're just like, hey, I'm good at this, like, let me just do this. I mean, I don't know if we want to put this on camera, but has definitely told me before, like, I'm good at this, so this is what I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna do, this makes me money, so I'm rolling with this thing.
Yeah.
You know? But
maybe he was just smart enough to like look at it that way, you know what I mean?
I think he was, exactly. I think he was like definitely smart enough to be like, let me take advantage of this thing to the fullest, you know?
Yeah. Going back to the hating and all that kind of stuff, or just like not liking a lot of shit, I think I would be more inclined to hate on people getting into skating because it was like our thing. If you're not in it, don't try to hop in and hop out or something like that. That, you know, that kind of mentality, which I'm not proud of, but to be open to like other, you know, people from different industries coming in and being psyched and like, you know, getting in the mix. That's, you know.
Oh, for sure.
It's kind of difficult for me.
Difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Know? But on a positive tip, I kind of enjoy it too. I mean, I like fucking around with it, making little videos and stuff. It's actually like fun.
It's fun, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if you put a lot of skate shit.
I don't, and I was always kind of like anti putting myself out there and shit, but like I'll put stuff that I'm psyched that I put out if I put a little edit together, a few tricks or something. So yeah, and I know that like, you know, at this day and age, my sponsors will be psyched, you know, just to have me put some stuff out there, show that I'm actually skating. It's not like I skate all the fucking time. I just don't, you know, I'm not sitting there with a camera every day, so. But yeah, occasionally.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, the unacceptable has become acceptable. That's the one thing that's just fucking trips me out, you know? That's the only weird thing about it. You know,
in skating or just in life?
In life, general? Dude, just putting yourself out there in ways that back in the day you get so shitted on. Yeah, exactly, and now it's like, it's
being
okay.
a kook is now cool.
Yeah, dude, and I don't think I can let that really slide. Like, it's not gonna become cool, not in my eyes, you know?
Mine neither.
So, I don't know. Whatever.
Maybe we're just like two old fucks. Gino, thanks for coming through, man.
Thanks for having me.
I really appreciate it. It's really good to fucking hang out with you.
Definitely.
Haven't seen you in a bit. Always a pleasure.
Yeah. Pleasure to see you doing your thing here, too.
Yeah, thank you, brother.
Yeah.
This is the Mission Statement Podcast, episode 2. Thank you for watching. Next episode should be coming up shortly, so stay tuned. Peace.